and not to mention the fitness classes like CrossFit, Zumba, Insanity, P90X, and more. And I'm not going to tell you that these strategies didn't work. They did work for a while, but like so many people, Grace couldn't stick to any of them. And every time Grace felt upset or bad, she turned to comfort food, and the diet was over. As the years rolled by, Grace's energy levels, vitality, mood, and general health and well-being went rapidly downhill. You see, I know exactly what you are going through. The shame, the pants that don't fit, the binging, the scale, anxiety. I get it, because I saw Grace live these feelings every day. But still, we trusted the doctors, and although Grace's diets and exercise were supposed to help, she piled on more and more weight as she found herself unable to fight the intense cravings for sugary and starchy foods that overpowered her every day. And the more weight she put on, the more depressed she became, and the further away she drifted from the woman I'd fallen in love with. On top of it all, our sex life had completely gone. We found ourselves slipping into a long, boring routine of going to work, watching TV, and going to bed while feeling constantly tired, depressed, and unhappy, and dissatisfied. Until one night with Grace asleep upstairs, I found myself browsing Instagram, looking at slim, sexy women in their bikinis on beaches. I felt so guilty, but I couldn't help myself. I wondered why I didn't find Grace as sexy as these women. I wished to God I did, but I didn't. I felt so bad that I turned off my iPad and went upstairs to show her how much I loved her, no matter what she looked like. Don't touch me, I'm fat and disgusting, and I'm always gonna be fat and disgusting. I don't want you to touch me, she yelled when I reached out to hold her, to kiss her, to show her I cared. Seeing her embarrassed, laying there, grabbing her belly fat she hated so much, I felt powerless and weak in a way I never thought I could. That night, I lay awake for hours next to Grace, staring at the ceiling and feeling my heart constrict in my chest, imagining life without my wife. I had vowed to take care of her, so I made a promise to myself. I was going to do everything in my power to defeat her belly fat for good, whatever it took. I was going to fix her. I was going to make her love herself and her body again. And I was going to do it without diet or exercise. After all, the reason for most of her health problems over the last 10 years had been because of the diets and exercises she'd been torturing herself with. Because that's when her health really began to worsen. The thought of losing Grace too soon broke my heart. She was my rock. So that night, I got on my tablet when she'd fallen asleep and began my mission. I started my research with our fat cells. You see, when fat cells grow, they release a hormone called leptin. You may have already heard of leptin. It controls our hunger and how full we feel. When leptin levels are low, we feel hungry and crave calories. When leptin levels are high, we feel full and satisfied. Sounds simple enough, but problems arise when something called leptin resistance happens. Take a look at this image. I'm sure this cycle sounds familiar. You eat your food, that's at the top there. Excess energy from food is converted into fat and stored in our fat cells. As fat cells expand, they release leptin, signaling your body to stop eating. It is here when naturally you should stop eating and feel full and satisfied, put the knife and fork down and maintain a slim, sexy figure, but instead, leptin resistance occurs. As your body is resisting leptin signals, the brain never gets the message, you're full. Instead, you continue to feel hungrier and hungrier, even though you're eating more and more, until at the end, you've eaten that entire cake. You've wolfed down that whole bag of chips,